Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, March 10th. Are we in for another wild ride on Wall Street this week? Friday stocks ended a topsy-turvy week in the green after a roller coaster of a regular session. The Dow added 222 points, or just more than 0.5%. The S&P 500 added 31 points, or just more than 0.5%. The Nasdaq advanced 126 points, or just less than 0.75%. Bill, let's get into Monday in a new week with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are lower. We're in the red. We're down 1.36% this morning. There's a lot of negativity out there. I mean, Friday we were down hard, but we bounced back on those comments from Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who was saying, "No, the economy's in good shape." Well, over the weekend, yesterday on Sunday, President Trump gave an interview and he said the economy faces a period of transition, and he did not rule out a recession. Oh man, that's not good for him to say. On top of that, you got negative economic data that came out from China over the weekend. That data came in rather weak. There's a lack of demand. There's really a lack of demand coming out of China. We got inflation data on tap with the CPI and the PPI reports due out this week. I mean, Congress, the Republicans are trying to avoid a government shutdown later this week. They're working towards it, but it's going to be a last minute thing. So we got to keep an eye on that. On the earnings front, we do got a couple of good earnings coming out this week. ORCL, Kohl's Stores, Dick's Sporting Goods, CASY General Stores, Adobe, and Ultra Beauty. They're all due up for release this week. Also need to point out DoorDash, TKO, and WSM, DASH, TKO, WSM. They're all being added to the S&P 500 on March 24th. They all got added due to the S&P rebalancing that was announced late on Friday. But now we're kind of switch gears for a second. We're going to take a look at global markets, and we're taking a look at Europe real quick. When we're looking at the DAX, the DAX is down 193 points. That's 0.84%. I mean, the fears of deflation in China and tariffs and possible U.S. recession, it's causing Europe to be a little shaky. We get the FTSE down 30 points or 0.35%. Banks, defense stocks, mining stocks are moving lower in London, and then you get the CAC, which is down 0.22%. There are some weakness in financial stocks. I do see that. Not as bad as Germany, but luxury goods are mixed. So that's kind of a benefit for France. Then we're taking a look last night in Asia, or this morning in Asia, and we got the Nikkei, which jumped 141 points at 0.38%. Saw some positive action in autos and tech stocks. But then you get Hong Kong. Hong Kong fell 1.85%. That's 4.47. It's 447 points. And what was it due to? The 1.85 drop of 1.85% this morning was due to the inflationary pressures in China, which is indicating a weak domestic demand. You look at China, the Shanghai fell 6 points or 0.19%. Consumer prices fell more than expected in February, hitting a 13-month low. And then you get producer prices declining for the 29th straight month. That's not really positive for China's economy. But those markets did show some weakness, that's for sure. And then we're taking a look at oil, and oil actually is, trading higher. We're up about 0.5% in oil this morning. You get WTI at $67.40. You get Brent trading at $70.70. Oil's been beaten up. But in that economic data came out of China was weak. You still have tariff uncertainties. I don't know if the oil is going to be able to hold the gain that it has this morning. We'll have to wait and see. But oil traders are dealing with a slew of negative economic indications here, and they are pushing oil prices higher. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that's what I have for you for a morning market update, Emily.
Bill, as we return to trading on this Monday, we can hear from your opening that the news cycle doesn't take a break over the weekend. As you mentioned, that rebalancing of the S&P 500 came late on Friday. Comments from President Trump over the weekend moving markets this morning, the data out of China, another market moving event, all that are happening before the opening bell on a Monday. And you are following all of this using your NewsWare. And you are gathering this information so you can prepare for the trading day and week ahead. And there's a number of indicators we're going to be keeping an eye on. You did mention earnings action. Bill, let's start there. What is going on in terms of earnings?
And no significant earnings came out this morning or Friday afternoon. But after the bell today, you got Vail Mountain Resort, ticker MTM, Michael, Tom, Nancy. EPS is $6.29. Expected move is 7.78%. You got Oracle. Oracle's the big one. I mean, ticker ORCL. Their EPS is $1.48. With the expected move of 9.96%. So you got a couple interesting ones coming out after the bell today. And tomorrow morning, you have Sienna, ticker CIEN, Charlie, India, Edward, Nancy. Their APS is 39 cents with an expected move of 14.87% when they release. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings data, Emily.
And Bill, you also mentioned a number of economic events that will be released throughout the week. We're starting off slow here on a Monday, but it's important to be keeping track of this data. And Fed speak, as you mentioned, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell spoke on Friday, which was a market mover. And as we're trying to navigate what is an uncertain economic landscape, these events become increasingly important. So we're going to keep track of them. Again, starting slow this morning. But Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
It's a pretty quiet day today in terms of economic reports. I mean, and the Fed is on a blackout period because they have the Fed meeting next week. I do see at 11 New York Fed consumer inflation expectations may come out, is likely to come out. But, going back to, Friday, the economy added 151,000 jobs in February, which was short of the estimates of 160. But it wasn't horrible. The inflation reading came in at 4.1%. So, that's not great. That's okay. But, next month we're going to have it'll be the March ones, and that's when a lot of those job cuts from Elon Musk's government efficiency program will take place, and that's going to cause a spike in unemployment. So we got to be worried about that. But later this week, you have later this week we do have the CPI data coming out. That's I think it comes out Wednesday. That's gonna be a hot one. That's gonna be a key one for the week. That's the one I'll be paying a lot of attention to. But today, very light on the economic front, Emily.
And you're going to be paying attention to all of this information, Bill, using your NewsWare, keeping track of those economic reports. Obviously can be important when you're trying to not only gauge the landscape of the economy, but also take advantage of the trading day. And what else other information do you follow day in and day out? You look at things using your NewsWare like merger news, guidance news, buyback news, shareholders meetings. You also group your stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check this morning. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I get 24 lower, 5 higher, and 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. We're seeing 1.5% to 2% losses in all the FANG stocks this morning, which is not positive. You're looking at some of the news behind it, like Apple, some of the Siri AI powered enhancements that they've been keying on. They're going to be delayed. That's why the stock's down 1.59% this morning. Then you're talking Google, which is trading lower by 2.5% this morning. The Department of Justice has dropped a proposal to force Google to sell its investments in AI companies. Netflix. Netflix is down 1.46%. The plan to spend $18 billion on content is nowhere near the ceiling, according to the CFO. They're probably spending more. And look at Tesla. Tesla's down 3.15% to 254 this morning. Musk is said to be is going to be questioned this week on a lawsuit over his Twitter buyout. Not good. Then we're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, Johnson & Johnson, ticker JNJ. Stock is trading higher this morning. I will say that. Slightly higher, but it is in the green. But they reported positive phase 3 results for a psoriasis treatment over the weekend, which was good. Coca-Cola, ticker KO, that's also trading slightly higher. They're said to be considered a change in its media relationship, maybe looking for a new partner. semi-positive, getting their advertising back on track. Now we're talking merger news. The Morgan Giant, Rocket Companies, ticker RKT, Richard Kilo Tom, they agreed to buy Redfin, ticker RDFN, Richard David Frank Nancy, and they're buying them out at $12.50 a share. So, that's positive. In terms of shareholders meetings, there's no real meetings today, but there's a host of sell-side conferences this week. I mean, there's the JP Morgan Industrial Conference, the Barclays Healthcare Conference, Bank of America's having a consumer and retail conference. So there's a lot of that to pay attention to. In terms of buybacks, AMAT, ticker AMAT, Apple Michael, Apple Tom, Applied Materials approves a new share repurchasing authorization of $10 billion. Wow. In terms of catalyst calls, Apple, Citibank removes their 90-day upside catalyst watch on shares of Apple, AAPL. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us to start this week?
I'm looking at the tape, and I mean, I'm just seeing a sea of red this morning, but the one thing that I think kind of stands out is AMAT, Applied Materials, Apple Michael, Apple Tom. On any given day, any other given day, a 10 billion, share buyback would cause the stock to rise. It's trading lower this morning. Remember, their earnings last month were positive. Little concerns in their guidance, but the earnings were positive. You look at Friday's call volume, 11,492 calls versus 7,512 puts. So, that's good. That's strong. Open interest on the call side, 156K versus 168K. Little negative, but it's little. Major brokers do still have, they like the stock with their PT, their price targets are in the $200 range. So, that's good. But, I'm looking at AMAT, stocks trading 153.5. I want to get in at 152, 152.25, somewhere around there. Because I do think it has the ability to, display some momentum because that news about a 10 billion share buyback is positive. And the earnings weren't bad. So I do think that my pick of the day needs to be in something that's going to be volatile, and I think AMAT fits the bill. So today I'm going with Applied Materials, ticker AMAT. And I'm looking to get in, 152-ish, 152.25 is as high as I'll go. But that's my pick of the day, Emily.
AMAT, it is today, trading that news cycle there, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Again, looking for some green in the sea of red. And coming up, we're going to see if you had some green on Friday with that pick of the day. So stick with us until that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Allgene got some positive news on one of its drug stocks in Europe. GDOT, Grace David Oscar Tom, GDOT announced strategic review, names a new interim CEO. Trump says he's talking to 4 different groups about the sale of TikTok. Palantir, PLTR, and Voyager Technologies expand partnership. Vietnam to sign U.S. deals as trade energy officials meet. Interesting. NVO, they had one of the drugs achieved primary endpoint. I thought it was lower, something soft there. NVO. BMY, Bristol Myers, they had reported positive results in a phase 2 study for its psoriasis treatment. Eli Lilly reported positive phase 3 study for its alopecia treatment in youth. Health and Human Services Director, RFK, is going to meet with senior executives from the leading food companies like General Mills and PepsiCo on March 10th. That's today. Could be something there. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and get ready for this trading week, let's take a look back on Friday and your pick of the day on Friday, which was Coinbase. Now, if you listeners recall, Coinbase was a part of that White House crypto summit that was happening on Friday. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says that the shift in U.S. government's crypto sentiment will lead the company to hire 1,000 people in 2025. The stock was rising on Friday. Now, this morning, it is trading off. They did miss out on that S&P 500 rebalancing. It didn't end up that they were included, but Friday was a pretty good day. A lot of positive momentum. So, Bill, how did your call work out?
It worked out. I mean, especially, you look at the numbers. Stock opened up at 214.89, and it fell down to 212.50. Now, I was thinking 214. So the 214 entry price was definitely there. And then later in the day, it ran hot. It ran all the way up and hit a high of 222.05. So, I mean, you're going for 1%. If you got in at the 214 or at the opening price, no matter what, you made that 1%. You could have even made more. I mean, yeah, it didn't get hit. It's getting hit today because it didn't get added to the S&P 500. But you know what? This was a winner. We weren't trading it to go into today. We were just trading this as the momentum going into, the momentum of the possibility of it being added. And I got to tell you, ticker COIN, big winner. Opened up, 214.89 and hit a high at 222.05. So ticker COIN was a winner on Friday, Emily.
Definitely chance for 1%, if not more. Again, trading the momentum ahead of a news event. It was spot on there, Bill, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's AMAT pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.